ridiculous, and it just feels so incredibly hypocritical.
Blake Lively is freaking out after getting exposed for gaslighting Justin Baldoni and drowning him in endless paperwork. Her shady threats and desperate moves are only making her look guiltier by the second. She's a psychopath, and she's made this stuff up. Even her once loyal feminist supporters are quietly backing away, realizing this meltdown can't be defended anymore.
Apologies to Justin Baldoni.
This woman and her legal team decided the best way to fight Justin Baldoni was to dump 1,600 production requests and 107 interrogatories on his company, Wayfarer Productions. I mean, imagine suing someone and then attacking them with more homework than a law school final. It's giving desperate. It's giving toddler throwing toys across the room because she didn't get the last cupcake.
Insane, but even these numbers are absolutely, it's obscene for the amount of stuff they've done. And this is not something that the court really should even be taking a look at. For any attorney to go to the court going, they're not playing fair, they're not being reasonable. This is actually quite a big step because this is stuff done behind the scenes.
And it gets better. When Wayfarer, after drowning in Blake's tantrum-made paperwork ocean, politely asked for just a 1-month extension to respond, Blake's team looked at them and basically said, "Nope, drown faster." Seriously, it's almost impressive how fast Blake managed to make herself look guilty without even trying.
There seems to be a lot of legal gaslighting, to coin it what Kim has said, where they do just feel like they're drowning them in motions and derogatories and everything to sort of stretch it out, cause them more time and money, which clearly they have. But is that a tactic that's common in these types of things? Is that
a tactic that's common in these types of things? Is that a normal person would have thought, hey, maybe not being a courtroom nightmare would make us look better. But nope. Blake's team went full scorched earth and basically stapled a sign on her forehead that says, "Yes, I'm hiding something."
unbelievable? Blake Lively's team will not cooperate in court. Also, why is Harvey talking about Justin?
Meanwhile, in a hilarious twist, Ron Zambrano, the guy who literally just wiped the floor with Soulja Boy and made him cough up $4 million for harassment, came in to explain how pathetic Blake's victim narrative actually looked compared to real harassment cases. Blake's antics were called legal gaslighting, just throwing paperwork at Justin, hoping the judge would get dizzy and fall for it.
Would this actually be considered an attack on all victims of SH, or is this dramatic effect that she's playing?
So yeah, Blake isn't fighting to win. She's fighting to confuse everybody. The plan seems to be, if I can't win, I'll turn the courtroom into a circus and hope nobody notices. But no, Blake didn't stop there. She thought, you know what would make this even better? Let's weaponize feminism. Yeah, that'll do it. So here comes Blake's team accusing Justin Baldoni, literally one of Hollywood's few decent men who's spent his entire career supporting women, of attacking women's rights. Because apparently asking for actual evidence when someone throws baseless accusations at you is anti-feminist. Now who knew?
They start by accusing the Wayfair parties of filing their lawsuit as a PR stunt. And they continue to try to use Baldoni's feminism against him in this quote, unable to identify any actionable statements by Miss Lively.
And wait, it gets even more hilarious. Blake and her legal clowns had the audacity to argue that wives in 2025 aren't responsible for their husbands' words. Which, okay, fine, girl power and all that, except Blake herself signed the defamatory statements under penalty of perjury. So she literally took the blame and then turned around like, huh? Me? I didn't say anything. If stupidity was a sport, Blake would have an Olympic gold medal by now.
They argue she is liable for things her husbands allegedly said. In 2025, wives are not responsible for their husband's words. It is incredible that Baldoni, a person who calls himself a feminist, would take such a position. They argue that they're realizing that the loss of defamation claims subjects them.
Meanwhile, where's Ryan Reynolds in all of this? Nowhere. Mr. Deadpool himself, who never misses a chance to make snarky jokes on Twitter, is suddenly on mute. Probably busy rehearsing how to pretend he didn't know anything if this blows up worse. Honestly, it's adorable how he'll post 400 jokes about Hugh Jackman but can't find the courage to say a single word while his wife tanks both their reputations. Standing ovation for Hollywood's most supportive husband. Truly inspiring. I do think we know that they're unfair. So, and of course, Blake being Blake, she didn't stop at weaponizing feminism. She also tried to hide behind California's anti-slap law, twisting it like a yoga pose she learned in an overpriced Malibu retreat.
And I don't understand this because most of us, this is my opinion, at least, that this is what they're doing and that she has made these false allegations. And again, if your IQ is above room temperature, congratulations, you seem to be light years ahead of the mainstream media.
The law was meant to protect actual victims, not bored actresses who suddenly woke up and decided they needed a new PR boost. Instead of providing, evidence, Blake thought if she screamed feminism loud enough, maybe the judge would stop asking pesky little questions like, "Where's the proof?" He didn't, and neither did anyone else with more than 2 brain cells.
Harvey Weinstein, who, like I said, is the degenerate, immoral, disgusting, but they will take a man like Justin Baldoni, who has been a male feminist, an advocate for women, who has, by all accounts, even going back to high school.
Now, moving on to the most pathetic part of all, Blake's torture by filing strategy. If you thought 1,600 requests was bad, Blake's team went full psycho by refusing to grant even emergency extensions when real disasters hit.
Together, the Lively Sloan parties have served nearly 1,600 requests for production.
Like when Brian Friedman's house literally burned down. Yes, actual flames, not just metaphorical ones. Blake still said no to a delay. That's not just cruel. That's Disney villain levels of cold. You'd think she was fighting for the Iron Throne, not a defamation case she basically cooked up in her group chat.
Which Wayfair have been diligently preparing responses, setting aside the obvious yet troubling implication that Lively and Sloan do not actually know what they're looking for.
And remember, Wayfair had already answered 500 plus requests before begging for more time. Blake and her merry band of courtroom gremlins just laughed in their faces and said no. The judge, bless their patience, was so sick of Blake's tantrums that it got compared to needing a parent to step in and settle it like misbehaving kids at Chuck E. Cheese. It's honestly impressive how Blake managed to turn a lawsuit about workplace fairness into an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras.
The Wayfair parties have already responded in good faith to more than 500 such requests, with hundreds of additional responses expected in short order. And they also talk about all the motions to dismiss that they're currently facing, which there are so many.
Blake's real goal was crystal clear by now. It wasn't to prove anything. It wasn't to get justice. It was simple: drag Justin Baldoni to financial death. You can almost hear her team cackling while filing each new useless motion. It's like their motto was, if you can't win fair and square, drown them in so much paperwork they can't breathe.
They refused consent, and they would not provide any real reason for their reasoning. They objected without reason, and objected because April 18th deadline is not dependent on the timing of the court's order to motion dismiss, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah. Meanwhile, while Blake was busy weaponizing feminism and gaslighting the entire California legal system, Ryan Reynolds was spotted at an airport looking miserable and strained, probably because even he realized he signed up for a lifetime supply of secondhand embarrassment. Blake, on the other hand, was busy posting cheerful pictures from a horse riding farm because nothing says, "I'm a wronged woman fighting for justice," like playing with ponies while your husband's career burns faster than Friedman's house.
But yeah, Blake doesn't want to be fair. This is not the first time either, right? Because Blake Lively's team also refused to delay when Brian Friedman's house burned down, which a judge did ultimately agree to.
Honestly, if this is Blake and Ryan's idea of crisis management, someone needs to hand them a new PR team. Preferably one that isn't staffed entirely by people who think sending 800-page filings is a personality trait.
Bonkers to me that every time they get a chance to try to be fair or neutral, they refuse. Do you think this could bite them in the butt in the eyes of the judge?
I think it could. I mean, I'm not a legal expert. I can't fully speak to that. But I will say I don't think it's a good look.
So Blake Lively's big mastermind plan to scare Justin Baldoni into submission ended up being about as subtle as a drunk elephant in a church. Somewhere between filing 8,000 papers and staging horse farm photo shoots, Blake allegedly dropped the threat that if Justin didn't fall in line, the gloves would come off. Wow. That's not even a threat pretending to be polite. It's like she skipped over the legal handbook and went straight to mafia movie scripts.
Part of a plan, and if you want to be, and all the drown them in paperwork is what they're trying to do. And maybe I could see that maybe of just like Justin's side has so much more going for them to just keep constantly drowning them and costing more money and just stressing them.
Turns out in court, that's not a cute look. The whole gloves will come off thing was cited as proof of civil extortion. Civil extortion, for those who aren't Blake's legal team, apparently doesn't even require someone to literally rob you. You don't have to walk into court waving a bag of stolen cash. Just threatening someone's career, forcing business losses, and pressuring them into doing things under fear counts. And congratulations, Blake. You ticked every box.
She knows maybe, okay, I'm losing, but I'm going to make this as painful and as expensive to them as possible.
Wayfarer's executives actually documented feeling trapped by Blake's behavior. They weren't just being dramatic. They were forced to issue a PGA letter, basically bowing down to her all under pressure. Imagine running your own company and getting blackmailed into signing your name to some actress's pity campaign just to stop her from torching everything. Justin and his team didn't write that letter because they suddenly woke up loving Blake's personality. They wrote it because they could feel the metaphorical baseball bat swinging at their knees.
You're willing to destroy a man like Justin? No one's safe. Your son is not safe. Your husband's not safe. Your uncle, your father, men you care about in your life. No one is safe if they are able to do that to Justin Baldoni.
And oh, did it backfire. Sloane's brilliant moves included leaking private trash to the New York Times, tying Baldoni to false allegations faster than you can say, lie lawsuit. Ryan Reynolds, who's been loyal to Sloane for years, basically sat there clapping like a trained seal while Sloane helped destroy whatever was left of Blake's credibility. It's giving loyal lapdog energy, not Hollywood power couple.
You really messed up because Harvey's not entirely wrong, because you look like complete idiots due to the fact that you didn't do your homework. And you did screw. It's factual at this point. You clearly were prepping that story. The metadata has proved it. It seems, allegedly.
Blake's legal team tried to pull one more pathetic stunt by arguing that since Sloane wasn't an official employee, Blake couldn't be blamed. Congratulations, Blake. You just flunked common sense. Contractors, agents, unicorns, it doesn't matter. If they're acting on your behalf, you're responsible. It's like paying someone to slash your enemy's tires and then acting confused when the cops arrest you too.
Going to really hinder their ability to look like they're acting in good faith in court when the judge sees this and goes, wait a minute, why are you acting like this?
And if you thought that was bad, wait for the cherry on top. Leslie Sloane's past ties to Harvey Weinstein suddenly started floating around, because of course they did. If Blake's PR strategy was to look dirtier than a gas station bathroom, mission accomplished. Meanwhile,
Make sense of this. Harvey W. Feels for Baldoni. Oh my God, this is disgusting.
speaking of Harvey Weinstein, somehow even he got dragged into this mess. And not in a good way for Blake and Ryan. From his prison cell, because of course he's still rotting in Rikers Island, Harvey decided to drop a comment that completely sent the media into a frenzy. He said that Justin Baldoni was treated by the New York Times the same shady way they treated him.
Loads in the New York Times telling us watching Justin take legal action against New York Times, accusing him of manipulating communications, ignoring evidence that countered, hit me hard. Brought back everything I experienced with the Times reported on me in 2017. They did the same thing.
I experienced what the Times reported on me in 2017. They did the same thing instantly. Outlets like Vanity Fair tripped over themselves trying to tie Justin to Harvey. Because obviously, if you're accused of something by Hollywood, it's not about facts. It's about how dirty they can make you look.
Weinstein, before he was known as a sexual degenerate and predator, this guy was pretty much running Hollywood. He was the top player in Hollywood. He knows where all the bodies are buried. He has all their secrets. There's a lot.
The media tried so hard to spin the narrative. You could practically hear the desperate typing through the screen.
Congratulations, Justin Baldoni. Harvey Weinstein is not on your side. In a statement issued to Vanity Fair, a representative for Weinstein clarified his earlier comments about Baldoni Lively legal dispute in the New York Times.
But then Harvey's team, being slightly smarter than Blake's, forced Vanity Fair to publicly retract everything. On April 10th, 2025, they issued a formal apology to Justin Baldoni.
April 10th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Apologies to Justin Baldoni.
Not a tiny footnote apology either. A big, fat, embarrassing backtrack that made Blake and Ryan's PR plan explode in their faces like a cheap firework.
Wait, I have no idea I'm not taking sides. I don't know the facts, but I only had the kindest and warmest interactions with both Blake and Ryan. Oh, I'm sure they're so grateful for the plug, Harvey. I'm sure they're gonna call you immediately.
Harvey clarified through his team that he had only warm memories of Blake and Ryan, which honestly is way creepier than if he had just stayed silent. Imagine being so messy that even Harvey Weinstein is reminiscing fondly about you while sitting behind bars. It's the kind of PR nightmare you don't wake up from.
Amber Heard, Harvey, that's who Blake and Ryan are getting on their side. It's pretty depressing. But anyway, the New York Times did respond.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds thought they were playing PR chess, but couldn't even figure out how the pieces move. Their plan to destroy Justin Baldoni backfired so hard it turned into a giant neon sign flashing. You just lost. Instead of wrecking Baldoni's reputation, they nuked their own.
Vanity Fair is having to not just retract, not just to issue a statement, but to apologize. Apologies to Justin Baldoni. Harvey Weinstein is actually not on his side. According to a representative for Weinstein, the disgraced producer and convicted rapist is staying neutral in the legal dispute between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
Watching them scramble is better than Netflix. It's a full-blown disaster class called How to Destroy Your Reputation 101, taught by Professor Blake Loves will come off Lively and Assistant Dean Ryan. Maybe if I stay quiet, no one will notice Reynolds. At this rate, Blake's only winning an award for worst legal decisions in Hollywood history, while Ryan keeps cracking Deadpool jokes pretending the career wildfire around them isn't real. Vanity Fair flipping their headline from "Congratulations, Justin" to "Apologies, Justin," faster than Blake Lively flipping hair at a photo shoot was truly something to watch.
See it, but this was the headline from Vanity Fair, and it says, "Congratulations, Justin Baldoni. Harvey Weinstein is on your side."
1 second they were popping champagne thinking they finally had dirt on Baldoni, and the next they were speed typing a public apology before Blake's entire fake victim narrative blew up in their faces. Nothing says desperate journalism like trying to destroy a guy's reputation, realizing you can't, and then crawling back with an oopsie.
Support for Baldoni, alleging that the New York Times must have cherry-picked details to mislead readers about Baldoni's spat with Blake Lively.
And let's not pretend they did it out of journalistic integrity. No, they got caught with their pants down playing PR puppet for Blake. The New York Times wasn't any better. Megan Twohey, the same reporter who broke the original Weinstein story and won a Pulitzer, was out here cherry-picking facts like she was harvesting grapes for a $5 bottle of wine. She apparently forgot that journalism is about reporting facts, not starring in Blake Lively's private pity party.
It's clear you were in cahoots with Blake to get that whole thing done, and you should have looped in Justin sooner and done it properly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Public trust in these so-called elite journalism outlets didn't just fall. It crashed, burned, and then fell through the floor again. Watching Hollywood gossip pages drag Vanity Fair was pure chef's kiss energy. People finally saw how fast these serious outlets rolled over when Blake and Ryan's PR team snapped their fingers. At this point, Vanity Fair has about as much credibility as a Facebook horoscope ad.
It's like Harvey Weinstein played 5D chess with the mainstream media and just completely embarrassed them.
Hollywood insiders started whispering that Blake's PR team baited Vanity Fair into publishing that Harvey Weinstein comparison story, thinking they were playing some 5D chess. It wasn't 5D chess. It wasn't even checkers. It was two kids slapping each other with Uno cards while the house burned down. Because not only did the hit piece fail, It backfired so hard it basically became a free ad for Baldoni's credibility.
He has a right to bash the New York Times because they look stupid here. Weinstein, shut up. You have no basis to talk. What are you doing here?
Ryan Reynolds, bless his little heart, decided the best way to support his wife's crumbling empire was by posting random airport selfies like a discount travel blogger. There he was, smiling for the cameras, pretending that the nuclear PR meltdown his wife was causing didn't even exist. It's honestly inspiring how committed he is to doing absolutely nothing useful. Deadpool jokes aren't going to save you from this one, buddy. And because Blake's ego is powered by pure delusion, she decided her next move would be to double down on the crazy. Her legal team filed motions arguing that Baldoni's team didn't specify monetary harm. Because apparently, if you're being extorted and smeared in the press, it's totally fine as long as you don't show receipts for lost lunch money. Ron Zambrano didn't even waste time pretending that was a serious point. He laughed it off like it was a bad open mic night at a comedy club.
One way to really drain your opponent is to just file everything you can and throw it at them. So maybe that is sort of a brutal torture trap they're trying to do.
Every legal expert who saw Blake's filing said the same thing. This wasn't law, it was theater. The judge? Supposed to be neutral. But even saints get tired of spoiled celebs throwing tantrums. Blake didn't come off like a wronged woman. She came off like a drama queen losing control, filing nonsense motions, clinging to technicalities like a cat on a shower curtain. Legal gaslighting at its finest. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds went from red carpet smirks to ducking paparazzi, like a guilty teen sneaking out past curfew. Even feminist groups started backing away. When your biggest allies go radio silent, that's game over. Blake and Ryan thought this was a PR battle. But Justin Baldoni brought evidence, calm, and public sympathy, and he's wrecking them. They walked into a slap fight and accidentally signed up for a heavyweight match. Now they're drowning in legal costs and bad headlines, while Blake still insists she's the victim. Reality check. This isn't a photo shoot. You can't Photoshop the truth. And as for Ryan, his nice guy pass is about to expire. Congrats, Blake. You played yourself.